Hey, and welcome to another fantastic hour.
Fantastic.
With Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fish Report. I'm Captain Rick with Captain Travis, and we're here to do it all over again.
Do it all over again, buddy.
The week flew by.
It did, man.
Just we got Mr. Travis back with us this week. He's spent some time up north chasing the redfish.
It's funny to call Louisiana north.
Well, it's north.
But it is, yeah.
It's
funny when I talk to people.
Yep. Jason's got some personal family not an issue. That's probably not the way to put it. Function tonight that he needed to go to. So he's got the night off, and it's us. James is in Louisiana now.
James is in Louisiana
he's
now.
Up there with some boys from Penn, and they're doing some yellowtail.
He's on with us. James, type us a report, dude. Let us know what's going on, brother.
Yellowtail tuna fishing. So it's just us, buddy.
It is. The other thing, too, guys, we kind of bumped up the volume, and I want to see if it's not a little bit better. Make sure we don't have Darth Vader voice going. But if somebody can just holler at us here and make sure we got good sound level, so that you guys can hear us, because I know I watched the show when I was out in Louisiana, and the volume was a little low, so trying to get that fixed for you guys. But anyhow, Rick, so
how do we sound?
Yeah, how do we sound, man? How do we sound?
Well, I tell you what,
that could be a trick question.
Yeah, fishing here. I'll start real quick about fishing here, and we did the show Wednesday. I didn't fish Thursday. Friday,
Thanks,
Friday, I went to Georgia for 3 days. Took some boys up there with me, and we did a little working, a little poker playing, a little gun shooting. Had a pretty good time up there. I come back on Sunday. I fished Monday and Tuesday, and Monday was terrible. I mean, just
terrible as in weather conditions.
No, weather was phenomenal. I just couldn't get nothing going. We caught, I don't know, 8 or 9 snook, couple mackerel. Tried to get on some snapper. Couldn't get the snapper balled up. Yesterday, kind of went out and did the exact same game plan minus the snook, and had a good day. I think I cleaned a dozen snapper, 7 or 8 mackerel, kept one little shark, just because they wanted to try shark. And I don't know if you've ever eaten a bonnet head. The bonnet heads aren't bad, and that's what we were catching. And
right.
we finally, first couple were too small. I said, let's get something with a little more meat on it, and we got one that was a little bit bigger and kept it. But just a busy day on the water catching wasn't always the fish we were after or the fish quality fish, but the rod stayed bent most of the day. And it was just funny because it was.
And that's an August. That's an August pattern,
right,
man. I mean,
that's August pattern. And the unfortunate thing is the guys that I had Monday, they're in town. They're in town with the Orioles. They play baseball, and I have these guys every time they come to town, they fish with me. First time they came down, man, we absolutely lit them up. They came back in town like a month ago, and I struggled. And then yesterday, so I may not get a call back. I don't know, man. It was pretty bad.
You and I both know that guiding, sometimes, especially when you have a client, or a customer that you've done really well with right out of the chute,
yes.
right out of the gate, it's almost more pressure than having a tough day and them still coming back and
sure.
getting that second shot, because you go, well, looking at what we've done in the past, all I got to do is bump this up a notch and,
right.
Kind of go from there. But it is tough when you get that first shot of the gate and you have one of those epic
well,
days,
we did.
man.
And I mean, the first time.
How do you follow that up?
Right. The first time he fished with me was in 2012.
Okay.
And
red fishing was really good then.
I remember having a really good day, and I have the pictures and stuff of it, and he said the other day, man, we caught like 50 redfish, and man, I'm like, those days I haven't had a day like that in a few years, and
I have.
Well, and you can get to that in just a minute, but don't step on my onions too hard here now.
I just had
then he, and we've been in contact for the last 5 years or whatever, tried to book a few trips, but he's a pitcher, and sometimes his rotation changes. But anyway, we was able to work it out a month and a half ago, whatever. Had a tough day, and yesterday they had an off day, so that was no issue getting them on the schedule, and just absolutely threw a goose egg at them, man. We caught probably 14 fish, 12, 14 fish all day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I fished them hard.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
It was just maybe more than that, but not. We didn't catch 20.
Uh-huh.
And but yesterday was totally different, and that's August fishing. It's June, July, and August. You can expect that flip flop, that no consistency.
The heat finally sets in.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, if you want to go,
that's the way I look at it.
If you want to go for the deeper snapper, you can probably be a little more consistent with it. I wasn't fishing deep water snapper. You could probably get a decent grouper bite going on that, but I'm kind of setting my ways on the snapper that I do catch and that thing, and I needed to get away from it Monday and try something else.
Well, a good man is set on the snappers that he's looking to catch.
Yeah, and then I ran out of time, so
it's just part of it, man.
No worries, Preet. We got you, baby.
But anyway, we bumped the volume up a little bit, Jason. So hopefully that sounds a little better. You don't have to crank your phone up all the way, especially when the commercial comes in. But to kind of follow that up, Rick. Just looking back, man, I mean, of course, I've been gone for about a week and a couple days now. I start back up fishing tomorrow. So I'm planning on doing the bay fishing thing. I mean, that's kind of the whole pattern that I've been on before I left, and tends to be the pattern before the redfish get here in September. And I start looking for some redfish and start getting back inshore, start seeing a little bit of temperature drop, Normally, Halloween, for me, marks that first cold front, or right around that Halloween, end of October, we'll actually start to see some cooler temperatures, that, for me, kind of drive me back into the backcountry, drive me back into doing the redfish, snook, and trout. But all the way up until then, it's a bay fishing thing for me. We're going to have the late spawn, post-spawn tarpon. We're going to have snappers, groupers, sharks. All that is still going on, and for me, I always tell customers about, what do you want to do? Do you want to go inshore? Do you want to go do this, do that? A lot of the people still want to go, redfish, snook, and trout. I mean, it just seems to be that way.
Yes.
But, a lot of people that you can get out in the bay and show them a good day bay fishing. And I've got several clients that I've sort of flip-flopped that'll fish spring with me, a few trips, and now they're going with me in the summertime and even early fall because it's just a different experience in our bay, and you can really do some cool stuff. And so, especially with the snapper and tarpon, those are probably my two favorite. Is the snapper and tarpon, and so we're gonna try to do some of that tomorrow, and I'll kind of know a little bit more about that going forward. But it should be historically, thinking back and my logs and all that stuff. This time in August last year, we were hammering the big mangroves.
Yeah. Well, and to put insult to injury on my deal, Monday is one of the guys that was on the boat is from Louisiana.
Oh.
And he's a huge fisherman.
That's funny.
And I asked him on the way because he personally had never been on the boat and fished with me. And I asked him as we were idling out. I said, "Hey, so where are you originally from?" And he said,
"What part of Louisiana were they from? You remember?"
Southwest.
Well, Southwest is close to Houma, which is where I was at. There's several little towns all through there.
He said he's like an hour from the coast, so.
Oh, okay. Lake Charles.
But he goes down there fishing, and I told him, I said, "Well, I ain't gonna show you nothing today." And he just kind of laughed and said, "Man, I don't care. I just want to catch a few fish." He said, "I never caught a snook." So we got that. He never caught a mangrove snapper. We got that. He never caught a mackerel. So we caught that. But, I should change my charter business name to Little Fish Charters because, I'm sitting here, I'm reflecting on the trip.
Rick's Peanut Excursions.
Man, and you can tell I'm down. I mean, Travis kept asking me on the way up here, "Man, what's wrong?" I'm like, "Man, I've
been trying to chip away at him the whole time.
It's just almost like I don't know, but I've been doing this for almost 15 years, and you're supposed to get better at it. I just don't. I mean,
here's the thing, though, Rick.
My last 2 weeks of fishing, I feel like I am spiraling hard the other direction. And a lot of times I tease myself on here, like we've give our numbers out, and I've said, "Man, don't call me right now because I'm terrible." But and most of the time I'm just joking because I got some things going on and I really just don't have time to fish. But when I was getting everything in Georgia set up, but that's all done now, and I'm back to full steam ahead. But man, it's just, gosh, I just can't take days like I've had here lately. Well, not yesterday, but the last week and a half for me, I've had one good trip, and everything else I'm just struggling. I mean, we're catching fish, but it ain't like it should be.
Right.
And man, that just drives. I guess it's a good thing that it bothers me.
Well, it is a good thing that it bothers you.
If you're a charter captain and you're taking somebody's money and you're having a slow day, and it don't bother you, something's wrong. But I've fished 5 times in the last 11, 12 days, and I've had one day we kind of got blown off the water with the rain, but I haven't had but one good day out of the last 5, and that just it's just eating me. It's eating me up. I just try, and it's not from lack of effort.
No,
we're
it's that time,
trying different things.
It's that time of year, man, and it's a grind. You get out there, and you're gonna have good days. You're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have good periods during a bad day where it's, you're gonna get a couple shots, and that's all you're gonna get. But it is what it is.
It is
what it is. You keep on fishing, and you do what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, cool weather.
Yeah, come on, cool weather, man, for sure.
Well, let's hear a little bit about
when
you were in L.A.
So what I've been doing the last week or so is let me get this other laptop turned back on here, Rick. But I've been in Louisiana, man, and I look forward to going out there every year. We generally will go out there a couple times, each year, and do the redfish deal. We ended up fishing the IFA Houma event, which was last Saturday, and we went the week before that. And it's you guys covered the show for me a couple times trying to get the boat done, and I appreciate that. But that was sort of the kicker to it all. It was twofold for me. It was one, getting out there doing some red fishing, and two, to go run the boat that I've been working on for a while. And so to say that we had a bad trip would be wrong, because we had a great time. The boat fished great, did a lot of different things with it, and couldn't be happier with that. Had a great pre-fish, caught a lot of fish. We're on the fish that we thought had a shot at getting us in the money for sure, and caught several of them throughout the week. just tournament day, just we got shut down for sight fishing. And in Louisiana, anybody that's been out there, particularly fishing, sight fishing in some of these ponds and some cleaner water, if you can't see the fish that you want to catch and present a bait to it, it makes it real tough to get the one that you need. And so we were plagued with overs. We were plagued with some small fish. A lot of times when you're sight fishing in Louisiana, and you're just throwing across a pond or in an area, a lot of times there's some small redfish just sitting in the grass that you never even saw, and they'll come up and just hammer a bait. Whereas if you're sight fishing, you can kind of yank it away from them, or present the bait to the fish, to the one you want to catch. So that made it a little tough for us. We did have a little bit of time in the morning to do some sight fishing and caught fish. Like I said, they were a little bit too big, but weighed in a couple fish. Towards the end of the day, we shot over to a pond that we knew we could catch a few decent fish in, and kind of got over there and caught a couple fish to take back to the weigh-in. But all in all, an awesome experience, man. There's just nothing like red fishing in Louisiana in the marsh. Until you go there and experience it, there's nothing I can tell you to paint the picture, for you. You've got to go experience it. If you enjoy red fishing, it is a thing to go do. It's definitely a bucket list item. So I'm actually trying to get set up. I've got a couple clients that want to get out there and fish with me, so I'm doing a little research and seeing about how I can get maybe my license set up out there to maybe go out there for a few weeks, if not this year, maybe next year, and take some of my clients out there to do some fishing. So that'd be fun. But otherwise, same deal. Hot, going into an August tournament in Louisiana, especially up in stagnant water, you deal with water temperature and killing a fish. A big part of tournament fishing is bringing the fish back alive. And so, as if it's not tough enough to find the right fish, catch the fish, now you got to keep them alive.
Right.
And a lot of times you're not, dealing with ideal conditions trying to keep, a large fish alive. And they fight so hard coming out of that marsh, especially in a lot of the grass, and you're really wrenching on them, kind of getting them in. But so you always kind of got to deal with how are we going to keep these fish alive, and keeping the water cool, keeping plenty of oxygen in the water. And so the first
what was the water temp up there?
We were dealing with 85 degrees, 86 degrees in some of the ponds. We kind of saw that if we kept our water temperature below 80 degrees in our live well, we didn't have any issues. But once you started creeping up over that 82, 83 mark, during pre-fish, we tested this, and we had several fish that were wanting to kind of belly up on us, so we'd let them go. And but come tournament time, we kind of had it dialed in on how much ice we needed to bring, and sort of where we needed to keep that temperature and things. I carry a laser thermometer, like a Fluke laser temp, and so one of the things that we noticed was when we first got there, we threw a couple fish in the live well just to see if we even had to worry with it. And we had a couple fish roll over that we ended up taking in, to the dock with us. But the water temperature in my live well, because you don't recirc water like you do here. If you're in the west coast of Florida, you're constantly pumping water in your well, letting it overflow, and constantly recirculating the water with fresh water in your live well. And out there, you just don't do that. You normally will fill the live well first thing in the morning, or in a good clean area, and you'll basically just pump oxygen in that water all day, and leave it that way, and then sort of vary the temperature, based on what you see. But where I was going with this is our first day, I was checking water temps that were in the pond, and we were going to try to keep the water temperature in our live well the same as the water that they come out of in the pond. And we noticed we had to be a couple of degrees lower than that. We're probably reading a surface temperature, something like that. Whereas down below those grass mats,
and that could be
probably a little cooler.
They were probably a little stressed.
And they were stressed out. They build up their lactic acid, and they need to, kind of release that and get back to where they're moving again. But anyhow, so that was our biggest challenge, other than fish, was how we're going to keep the fish alive. And so we worried with that a little bit. We finally got it dialed in, and then old Mother Nature sort of sort of got the better
Always
of us.
does.
But looking back, man, there's not really a whole lot. That's what I feel good about is we didn't really have the shots. So when you tournament fish, you prepare all week for, maybe one or two moments that are going to happen that could potentially win the tournament. And you need to capitalize on that particular moment.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing deep down, and my partner will agree, we didn't have that moment. We didn't have that shot where it was like there was the school or there was the fish we saw. And so that's sort of a little, satisfying, I guess you could say, to say that we didn't fail. We didn't do anything wrong. Like, and I've had it where you go, man, we had the shot.
Right.
We totally busted and we missed that. But it is what it is, man. I mean, got a ton of good video. I'm gonna be putting up a couple GoPro videos of us sight fishing out of the tower, and got to see a lot of good friends that I've made over the years fishing redfish tournaments, because I really hadn't fished a whole bunch, I'd say, in the last year and a half or so. Really was just trying to get this boat done so we could do a little bit of traveling and have a tool to get out there and do what we do. So that was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great trip. The IFA, as always, puts on a 5-star tournament. Everything went well. Some fish got kicked. There were some overs, which is probably a controversy depending on which side of that coin you're on. But that was the only thing that I noticed, was there were several fish that did get kicked. But in Louisiana, well, we've had them kicked. So that's definitely a place where guys go big. You get a 26 and 3 or 26 and 7/8 or a 26 and a hair, they normally go in a live well out in Louisiana, because that's when you drop a 9-10 pound fish on the scale. So
is that what the limit is? 26?
It's 27 inches, just like we have here.
Okay.
It's 27 inches. You need to bring in for the tournament. It's 2 slot redfish, 27-inch max.
Okay.
There are some tournaments out in Louisiana because those guys out there can keep one large fish. And so there are some tournaments out there that'll do, bring in 3 or 4 slot redfish, like, up to 27 inches, and then 1 kicker fish up to 28. And so that's an interesting tournament, because you'll find that a lot of the fish you catch are, between 27 and 29 inches and mixed in with the big fat, 26, 27 inches. So that'd be an interesting. I think the Tito's tournament is the one that does that, but good stuff.
You gotta get us some comments up here, boss.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I got them on my phone. We don't have much chatter. John says, "What's your favorite color?" John, I really went outside the box this trip. I'm generally a gold or silver flake guy. 313 gold glitter, DOA.
Here we go.
I mean, I carry piles of them, and for a reason. I mean, that's just what I feel confident in. But there are certain areas that we fish that a gold pattern worked, and then there were certain areas where a darker pattern worked, like a root beer or a purple demon or some darker shade of a red or purple or a blue was working really well against some of that darker water, believe it or not. And then the kicker to it all and our color pattern is a chartreuse. That's more of when the fish start floating around and they're really looking for something to eat. And it's not a matter of hitting the fish in the head. It's just something that they can see from a distance to where they just beeline it to it. Yeah. And so this trip in particular, a lot of the fish were got a little sketchy. Come the end of pre-fish, there was quite a few boats running around. And so we found that the fish got a little less aggressive, like always, going into tournament day. They had, been feeling boats running around them and trolling motors and everything like that. And so we did have some fish shying away come around towards the time of tournament. So we ended up going to those more natural pattern colors, which was the golds and the darker black and gold. My cousin threw a black and gold a lot, and then I liked the root beer. That was one of my favorites. So,
well, very interesting.
But guys, we're about to a little stopping point here. I don't know if you guys have got any questions, but think about it over the break for a second here. If you got something you want to ask, I've been just sort of blabbing on here, and we'll definitely make sure we get something answered for you. In the meantime, we're going to take a little break, hear a few words from our sponsors, and when we get back, we'll be talking more fishing. You're watching Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Stay tuned.
And we're back. Or I'm back.
We're here.
He's here.
We're all here.
He's here.
It's all good.
Think we got our comments where we can see them now. Jeffrey gives us the 2 muscles every week.
I
Thanks,
like the 2
Jeffrey.
muscles.
Yeah. Trying to figure them out, but anyway.
So, but anyhow, yeah. So Louisiana was good, man. I'm excited to get back in town, get back in the grind of our late, summer fishing. I'm excited for it. Like I said, gonna be out in the morning doing that deal, and then gonna get geared up here going into winter. Gonna probably do some trips on the skiff. Do some backcountry stuff once this water falls out of here and this water cleans up a little bit. We can got another tool in the bag to kind of get us back in some area that is not quite as pressured during the wintertime. So I'm excited about that. But
I think I broke it.
Well, it's not a big deal.
What is? It's
All
a
right.
big deal because I can't see comments.
They're right there.
No, they're not.
Yeah, but there's nobody's talking, so there's
Somebody talk. No, it's covered up. All right.
What I'm saying is, when somebody makes a
No,
comment,
I don't think they will.
it'll go up.
I think I broke it.
Anyhow, so what else is good, Rick? Like I said, I've been gone for a week, man. Fill me in.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's I don't fish again until Sunday. Thank goodness. Hopefully, I can come out of the funk that I'm in, and we can. I don't know. It's this time of year, and I have sold so many people on. Shut up, Jason. Yeah. I have got so many of my clients now that come back that want to fish mackerel, because this time of year, that is one game that you can play that typically mackerel and snapper, because the water's so hot up on the shoreline. A lot of times you're not getting the, it's hot up there. You're not getting any breezes if you're around back where a lot of times we fish in the spring and in the fall. It's just not comfortable fishing. And I think we all kind of start fishing the deep water a little more. So I've got a lot of clients, as well as probably ever guide in the bay, that we've kind of turned on to mackerel and snapper, which snapper everybody knows are great. Mackerel's kind of like a hidden gem. A lot of people don't know how good they can be.
Mm-hmm.
They know how fun they are, but they don't
Sure.
know how good they can be to eat. And then so I've just kind of maybe depended on that a little too much. I see Jason said something about grouper. I haven't grouper fished in 2 years. I haven't ran a trip for grouper, and that's just maybe something I need to kind of revisit and start doing, because I used to do a lot of it.
Generally this time of year, man, like I said, I mean, at this point it's sort of speculative, but I know Jason's fishing the same area, and this time of year, historically for me, I mean, the grouper and the tarpon bite is generally really good. You'll also, like I said, get those big mangroves to come in, and you can really get them fired up this time of year if you can get on the right rock pile.
Right.
It's got the big ones on it.
Sure.
But again, it's the X factors, the weather. I know tomorrow the forecast looks pretty good. Supposed to have a light wind, and so I'm excited to get out and do some bay fishing. I'm actually looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. Sight fishing and shallow water fishing all week, so I'm sort of geared up to do that. Manny asked a question about bait. I'm assuming he's talking about in Louisiana, and a lot of the ponds that we fished in, they had what they called cacao minnows, and they almost look like a greenback, and they school up and the weirdest pattern. They almost look like a tube. They school up and they roll in a ball, but it's not like a school of like greenbacks where
Right.
they get like in a circle. They get in like a long string, and they all kind of just like roll around. You'll look down and it looks like a grass head, like a big grass ball, and it's actually bait. And that was actually one of the things we looked for in some of the ponds we tried to break down was, did it have bait? Did it have crabs? A lot of the ponds up there have crabs in them. You'll actually see the blue crabs. Some of the ponds will have shrimp in them. You'll kind of go in and you'll see shrimp flipping out of the water. The other one is mullet. A lot of ponds have mullet. They don't have mullet like we have
No,
mullet.
they got small
On the South Shore, we have mullet that would eat their mullet.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, a big mullet to them, is a 12-inch mullet.
Right.
10, 12-inch mullet. That's a stud. A lot of the mullet in there,
Sure.
6 inches or so, like finger mullet. But those are the baits, the natural baits that, or the bait fish that we saw or that look for, when we were in the ponds. But
Now, do y'all ever catch any trout while you're doing this?
we don't really catch a lot of trout. A lot of the guys that trout fish, not to give away any areas, but they fish more in the Gulf.
Okay.
A lot of the big trout runs are on the
Right.
barrier islands where they get out, from the mainland out onto some of these big.
Deeper water?
I don't necessarily know that it's deeper water, but it's definitely more towards the Gulf.
Okay.
More towards, because Louisiana is weird, man. Like, even when we were in Venice, we did some scouting and we went out the mouth of the Mississippi River, and we're expecting, to start seeing something take place, and we never saw it.
It never did.
I mean, no. I mean, we didn't go very far, but so it's not like what you would expect, like
Right.
say going off the beach or something here, where at least you'll start to get that slow,
Sure.
depth increase as you go. So I don't know how deep it is, but I know that there's barrier islands and I think it's the Chandelier Islands down there.
Now, does the water clear up a little bit as you get that way?
Surprisingly, not as much as you would expect, and partially because you've got the marsh dumping out, and the marsh is not like say the Florida Everglades. I mean, it's just there's so much coming through there. I want to call it muck, but I know it's not. It's
Right.
actually a nutrient-rich,
Sure. Well, it has to be.
flow. But it looks like poo. I mean, it just
Yeah.
looks disgusting, really, when
Right.
you look at little chocolate milk.
Right.
But it's loaded with nutrients because of what's hanging around. So the way to find clear water that we've noticed was quite the opposite. Go the other way and get in the ponds, get in the middle of the grass mats, and the grass acts like a filter in some of these big, pond or lakes that they've got over there. And so where the water flushes through these ponds, it'll be
James.
muck. It'll be muck on the outside, and you get in the middle, and it's actually like a filter in there where you can find some clean water inside the ponds. So
James answered that. He says it gets clear 25 miles out.
yeah, and I imagine that's what I'm saying. I imagine at some point you'll break where
Sure.
you get the Mississippi mud. I'm sure there's
You
like
have to get into the
a
Gulf
color-
Stream somewhere.
yeah, there's got to be a color break where the flow from the Mississippi sort of
Meets the Gulf Stream.
gets weeded out, and the Gulf overtakes it. But
So they probably don't have a whole lot of diving up there inshore.
like diving,
Yeah,
like
like-
snorkeling,
yeah,
diving?
like diving.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. I don't know too many people to get in the daggum water over there. I mean,
Well,
heck,
evidently,
the
there'd be
dock
no
we were
reason
staying
to.
at, man, had like an 8-foot gator that would just pop up, hang around, at night. I don't know if I'd be jumping in the water. That's just me. I'm sure them boys do. I'm sure they backstroke with them. But hey,
They
I don't
might.
want to be old Amos Moses. So, but anyhow, we'll hopefully we'll get us a report from Captain James. He was out there this week. I didn't talk to him, but I passed him when I was coming back from Louisiana. He was going out
Y'all
to
should have
Venice
met
to
at
do.
a rest area or something. For
We
a
were
hug.
cranking. I know we were
Should give
cranking,
him a
man.
good luck hug.
I don't know what time he come through or where we were at, but we were grinding, man. I
Yeah.
mean, just we were ready to get home
No,
at
I
that
hear you.
point. But anyway, like I said, it was a good trip, man. Anybody that's never been to Louisiana, I highly recommend getting out there. There's one guy, I'm gonna throw his name out there, Captain Rob DuPont. He's in Homa, And if you're looking to get in that area and do some trout fishing, he's an excellent trout guide, redfish guide, and he could definitely get you on some fish in that area if that's something that you're interested in. And if not, if you're going to go to some other areas, he'd be a good guy to kind of segue you into any other portion of that, Southwest Louisiana fishing.
He's in the know.
Yep. So, yeah. But like I said, just excited to get back. We got some things coming up. We're going to have, some tournaments coming up. We're starting to work into that fall. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about getting out of the heat, which we're all just ready to get out of. But, fall's coming up, and the fishing is going to fire back off. Every year this happens. You get through that August slump where you have good days, you have bad days, and then it'll start to stabilize back as we get into September and into October. And so I'm looking forward to doing some of those corporate events. We do the Hooked on Hope. They got the pediatric cancer. Mike Anderson's got a few events, and so it's a fun time as a charter captain in October because there's a lot of charity stuff going on, and it's a fun time to fish during the year. And normally fishing's pretty good, so sights on that, but grinding through what we're doing right now. And so
we got about another month and a half of toiling, hot. But then I'll be honest with you, yesterday it felt kind of fallish in the air till about 9 o'clock. It really did. It wasn't unbearable.
Yeah.
A little bit of a cool breeze, but that went away quick. But those are the mornings that as an angler, it's hard to beat.
Yeah,
it's hard to beat that cool morning, not cold but cool, when the sun is shining. You don't have no overcast. You know it's going to warm up, and you got that. I don't know. I always kind of compare. Oops. Always kind of compare it because it always comes about with football season.
Right.
So when I'm flashing, did I lose my?
You're probably about out of batteries. You're probably gonna need some batteries.
Yeah. Football. As football season gets here, it's always kind of. I don't know. They kind of go hand in hand, and we start getting that good fall bite. The weather starts getting good where fishing's actually comfortable.
Right.
And I know, it's always said that if you're catching fish, you kind of forget about the weather.
Oh, 100%.
It could be raining. If you're catching fish, you kind of forget about that.
Absolutely.
It's raining, or if it's hot, whatever. But when you can get both, that's pretty good.
I tell you one thing. You're talking about weather, and something that we ended up purchasing when we were out in Louisiana is I got me a set of Frog Togs, the rain gear from Frog Togs. And I know you wore it for a while, right? I tell you what, I'm impressed, man. For an inexpensive set of rain gear,
lightweight,
very lightweight, and keep you fairly dry. I mean, we didn't get soaked, like we didn't have a downpour with it, but definitely kept us dry.
I went from those to Hercules.
Yes,
which is like wearing a sack of potatoes.
But you won't get wet.
They'll last longer, but my goodness.
Well, and that was part of the problem was I had my Grundens, and I was just so hot I couldn't fish in it.
Right.
I couldn't fish in it.
You can't fish in
and
them.
So
they're good for catching bait and staying warm,
right,
and staying dry.
But
you don't want to just tool around out there in the water and say I'm wearing my Grundens.
No, no.
The ones
You'll be a toothpick this time of year, unless you're on some diet plan. The Hercules Grundens diet plan. Shed weight. If you want to shed weight, wear a garbage bag and a set of Grundens.
You ain't even got to wear a garbage bag.
And man, you'll drop 10 pounds like before you even leave the dock.
Drop 10 pounds before you get done catching bait.
but no, I want to throw that out there, man. I know a lot of folks, don't use gear as much as we do. So for them to, justify spending, $100, $200, $300 on a set of rain gear, man, a great alternative, man. It was I think the jacket, and we paid retail for it, so we went into the Academy Sports and got a set of pants and a jacket. And I think the pants were like $20.
So you were out there for probably $70 max.
Right, and the jacket was like $40 or $50.
They just don't last long. They're good. I wore those for years, and you get a season out of them, and then by the time that you're rolling around on that year, you've had them for a year. and you'll notice the sleeves will start beading up, and
Right.
you'll get a lot of patchiness in the sleeves.
Sure.
And the zippers are keep them clean, or your
Right.
zipper's not gonna
Right.
be fluid, but it's still gonna be waterproof.
Oh yeah.
They're great for that.
No, I was like I said, I was really impressed, man. We actually had, and I'm not going to mention the gear that we had, but we had some other gear, and I told Cuz, I said, man, this is sprinkle gear. This stuff is not rain gear. I mean, I was soaked, dude. I mean, just like head to toe through the cloth. You know, it wasn't cloth, but it was like a Gore-Tex material, and I mean, I was soaked, dude. So I put it down. I said, dude, I'm going to get some lightweight rain gear tonight. So I went into Academy, and we ended up finding that Frog Togs, and I said, let's just try this. And yeah, super impressed, man.
Yeah.
What's nice is it's small. You can roll it up. We tuck it in a hatch, you know.
Right. Joy just put up there. Have you tried the Grundens Petrus?
I have not.
I haven't tried them, but they got them downstairs here.
Yes.
And they feel fantastic.
They're very thin.
And I do know that Mike Gore wears them, and he said he's really happy with them.
Yeah.
But when I bought mine, I bought in a cooler time of year.
Right.
So, you know, if I would have been buying rain gear now, that's what I'd have bought. I bought back when it was cold, so I went with the heavier stuff. And I'm not dissatisfied with it. It's just
it's warm. It will cook you this time of year.
It'll be great this winter for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, the Petrus is very, very
the one thing
looking.
the one thing that gets me is I wear the Grundens Hercules bibs, but then I've got the Grundens pullover jacket with the hood.
That's what I got.
And then it's got the neoprene sleeves in it.
I don't have the neoprene sleeves.
Which, I mean, game changer, bro. I mean, it's got like a neoprene cuff that's sewn into the inside of the jacket, and ever since having those, I'm like stuck on having something tight around my wrist, and that was the one thing with those Petrus. Partially, and this James or Jason will go nuts on this, but partially because I can never find the right length arm, and so they're always like right here on me unless they've got a cuff on them.
Right.
And so that's the one reason why, even with the other Grundens, the regular jacket, I'd roll the sleeve up,
mine up,
one cuff to the orange part, and let that kind of ride it like that. But yeah, no, I really like the Grundens Petrus. Actually, I told James to order me a pair. They didn't have my size. So when you get back from Louisiana, fool, I need a pair. Get
me some Petrus.
But so yeah, I mean, rainstorms, that kind of season, hot. I wanted to mention that, man, because dude, that was a game changer for us, is getting that rain gear.
Sure.
Because we were constantly taking it on and off, even through pre-fish. You get a little swell come through. We had a lot of patchy thunderstorms, and so it was nice to pop that stuff on. Right. It dries really quick.
Well, and I'm going to assume that the bibs for the Petrus is like, if Grunden's the same manufacturer, it's going to be like the ones for the Hercules. Now, if you some of the other brands out there, that strap on the bibs, that elastic,
it stretches out.
Yes, I'm going to tell you, the Grundens.
No, it's
what you get's what you got.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're not going to end up having them things sagging down to your waist 3 months in.
The nice thing too about Grundens, and I know some other manufacturers have sort of gone to it, but Grundens in particular makes it to where you can change out those straps, those elastic straps, because of the way they clip on both sides of the bib.
Correct. That is
so
correct.
There's a lot of bibs that you'll buy that are sewn in on the back,
right,
and then they come over and they clip in the front.
So when they're done, they're done.
So when they're done, when those straps stretch out, you're toast. You got to buy a new set of bibs. And with the Grundens, they sell just the straps, so you can buy a new set of straps. If yours stretch out, as long as your clips are good, you can get a new strap and just clip it in and rock and roll. So,
and if you're out there looking for rain gear, the Hercules, obviously you're not going to wear it if it's not raining. So the heaviness of it shouldn't be a big deal, but it's like a one-time purchase.
Oh,
I don't think you'll. I mean,
I told you when you asked me, I said just get it.
Yeah,
just get it.
And I followed your lead on that, and that was good. But I cannot see these things not lasting 5-7 years.
I've had the pair I've got now. I think I'm on about year 2.5, somewhere around in there. And I tell you how I did is I ripped them. I got them hung, and I ripped the bottom of the pants, my bibs.
You're moving way too fast.
Probably, yeah, like lightning.
Slow her down.
Like lightning. I mean, I was whipping around there, son. But anyway, yeah. So just something to throw out there. I don't know. We're gonna be getting into the holiday season. We're gonna be getting into shopping. ICAST. We just kind of got through ICAST. There's a lot of new stuff coming out, and so that's another thing to kind of start looking forward to is starting to see some of the new stuff that's going to be showing up for the holidays. Come into the store. I know that Joy and James have really sat down with some of these manufacturers and picked out some really neat new products that are coming out, and you can come up to the store and kind of get your hands on them and feel them and check them out and get them before the holidays get here and kind of go through them. But I know that the sales that they have for the holidays here at the store are really, really good. So Black Friday sale, Christmas sales, all that stuff's coming up. So kind of save your coins,
save your money,
and get ready for that.
Fishing or fashion? Fishing, baby. There's nothing fashion about any rain gear. No,
that's the truth. I think the only fashionable rain gear I would say would maybe be like, I think the Sims is pretty fashionable, and the hook stuff is pretty fashionable.
Yeah, I
but
guess the new stuff.
Outside of that, I mean, I bought black frog togs, just jet black. The way I look at it is there was two reasons why.
You did it because they match your boat.
Well, A, I did it because they matched my boat. B, I did it because when I'm standing in the tower, you can't really see me. Look like a shadow out there. 3, most of the time when it rains, you kind of get cold, so you're sort of welcoming some warmth. They're thin. Also, they're black, so you can lay them on the deck, and they dry really quick because they're black, so they track the heat.
You thought this through.
So, well, when I was standing in the aisle, it was like green or black.
I went green.
Went black, dude. I went black.
I went green.
Hey, it's in my blood.
Green. Wow.
Well, anyway, guys, like I said, we're about running out of time. You have hung with us through here for an hour. We appreciate it. And, like I said, if there's anything we can do or if there's any topics you guys want to cover, I know we've got some guests coming in. We've got a few different things lined up, which is going to be exciting coming over the next few weeks. So make sure to stay tuned in for that. I'm also supposed to be getting an update on the CCA Star, so I'll probably have some information on that next week, kind of see what that whole tournament is doing and kind of get an update on who's won what and where the fish were caught. Maybe even get a little interview with Lisa Fitzgerald, who organizes all that. So
I was hoping we get a comment on this red tide just to find out how far north it has gotten where it's actually having impact. I know Manatee County, according to the news, but I haven't talked to any of the the guys that I network with that way have said that it's actually impacting their fishing yet.
I think there's been like small patches and people that have thought that they've gotten to a red tide area with their bait dying or something like that, but I don't think there's been any major fish kills. Now, granted, I've been gone for a week, a little over a week, and so I don't know 100%, but the guys that I have talked to, because I've made a few phone calls on the way back, just kind of asking around what's the deal, and because a lot of our clients are calling asking us what the red tide situation is, and so here in Tampa Bay, I will say, and I'll say it again, here on Tampa Bay, we have not had any serious impact from red tide.
Correct.
That I know of, particularly on the South Shore of Tampa Bay. There's some guys that have mentioned some stuff, Joe's Island area or Rattlesnake Key or up by Emerson or even the Bulkhead. I don't know that was, a real red tide issue, or if it was a patch of something that got in, or if it was just bad water quality or something. I don't know, but I haven't seen any fish floating around, and I think with the amount of snook that we have in our area and the amount of trout in our area, that at some point, and our pinfish, we have a ton of pinfish. When we start seeing that, when you pull out of the marina in the morning and it's loaded with pinfish up against the seawall, that's when we're going to have a red tide
event. Got some good
event.
comments on, so the people that are watching and paying attention can read the comments there of where it's at. What I saw on the weather,
that's what I heard too. Was it was just off Anna Maria, that it hadn't gotten north of Anna Maria Island.
And I watched Channel 13, and they said that it got pushed out a couple of days because of the wind direction. We had some northeast wind or east northeast wind that kind of helped that. But they talked about this next week we're going to get back to the westerly flow. Keep your fingers crossed.
Well, the saving grace is we've got some some, for lack of a better term, hill tides coming up through the next few days. Some large outgoing tides in the afternoon that hopefully will keep that stuff at bay. The good thing is, and I'm not by any stretch know a bunch about this red tide and the chemistry and the physics behind what's going on, or not even physics but chemistry, biology. But it's, to my understanding, fresh water is its nemesis. I mean, it doesn't want fresh water. It doesn't like it. It kills it. It won't. It doesn't jive with fresh water. So I think
thrive in it.
It doesn't thrive in it.
I don't know.
Which is, reasons like up in Charlotte Harbor, our estuaries, they've got the Peace River, the Yaeckel dumping out of, Charlotte Harbor. And there's a certain point where you get so far up in the harbor that I don't believe the red tide deal
that would bode well for Tampa Bay,
can survive. And I think that's in part why over the years, we don't generally see a huge impact of red tide near our area, because we got the Little Manatee River, we got the Alafai River, we got the Palm River, we got the Hillsborough River, you got Lake Tarpon. So we do have a lot of fresh water that pushes out into our area, and I'm thinking that may be part of the reason why some of that's kept at bay, is that fresh water.
Interesting, yeah.
So I don't know 100% on that. That's the way that I understood red tide. Now, the blue-green algae is a different animal.
That's
a different animal.
And seeing what Manuel put there about the porpoises, I just imagine that's probably the algae, or the green algae doing that, not the red tide, because we had a pretty severe red tide in 2005, and I don't ever remember any porpoises dying from it.
I don't know where he's saying that porpoises were killed. I'm not sure where that was at.
There was a bunch of manatees too, but
a couple manatees got smoked.
From what I understand, that was down,
further south.
Further south, where they did have that green, mucky algae.
Well, I do know there's been several, large animals killed by red tide in the Boca Grande, Inglewood area. I mean, there's a whale shark floated up. They've had dolphins and manatees floating up. Big Goliath groupers, giant breeder snook, big tarpon. So that whole coastline has been affected. That whole Gulf, side of, say, South Pass at Boca Grande all the way up to like Venice is been hit really bad with red tide. The Gulf side, the Gulf beaches.
For a dolphin, though, and I remember, and Jason and I talked about this. I caught bait, and we shadowed each other's stories. Remember catching bait at the cockroach marker one time. I'm catching bait. I'm putting it in the live well. I'm chumming before I get the next net full of bait.
Everything's toast.
Everything in the live well is dead. And there was red tide. This is, like I said, this is going back to 2005, 2006, whenever it was. There was red tide on the surface.
You could see it. It's like a brown, like a brownish orange looking stuff.
See it.
You couldn't see it?
I couldn't see it. But the bait was all under it fine, and that would surprise me with a dolphin, because the red tide won't cover the whole water column, it's 20 foot out there. So, I just can't imagine a dolphin getting locked into a 4 or 5 foot area where the red tide has got the whole water column covered, and not as smart as they are and as quick as they are, not being able to get out of that to cleaner water.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if
especially being a dolphin that, dolphins suck air. So, it's what kills the fish in a red tide is the lack of oxygen.
Well, and it may be too that you gotta take into consideration that that what they're eating is affected by the red tide.
That could
and so
be.
if they're eating mullet and they're eating small snook or other bait fish that are in that red tide, that that may be a way for them to be exposed to it. I don't know. I've heard several different reasons why those large animals get wiped out by red tide, and there's all different scenarios on what could kill one. And I don't know what. It says right here they were taking a moat marine with a belly full of fish.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know.
And so they may have gotten to a toxic level
sure.
in their stomach that they just couldn't recover from.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
maybe I'm giving them more credit for being smarter than they are.
They're pretty daggum smart, dude. They're definitely pretty smart. So hopefully, you guys, we'll be on the safe side of this whole scenario, this whole situation. I mean, all we can do is keep our eyes out.
Yeah.
Stay connected, stay networked. If there's an area that you guys see that is being affected, contact the officials, let them know. Maybe there's something they can do, or at least be aware about it. And kind of go from there. But otherwise, it's really just up to Mother Nature and somebody other than us, man. There's nothing we can do to really control it. So, just gonna have to see which way the coin flips on that one, Bubba. I know in the morning I'll be out there. Hopefully it ain't there in the morning.
It won't be.
So
You're good. All right, man. Let's wrap her up.
Let's wrap her up, guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching and listening.
We'll see you next week, same place, same time. Been watching Tampa Fishing Outfitters Live Fishing Report. Myself, Captain Travis, Captain Rick, signing off. We'll see you next week.
Out.